In 2025, a growing trend is reshaping global travel. Multiple countries are quietly reducing tourism ties with the United States. Flight bookings are down, border entries are declining, travel advisories are rising, and the reasons aren't just political. They're economic, administrative, and cultural. This isn't speculation. It's backed by booking data, embassy statements, and shifting public sentiment. In this video, we'll examine 8 countries where American tourism is falling fastest and explore what's really driving the pullback, because what's happening now may signal a long-term change in how the world sees and visits the U.S. These aren't just isolated cases. They span continents, cultures, and long-standing allies. And while each country has its own reasons, together they reveal a larger shift, one that could reshape America's global image, economy, and influence. Let's break down the 8 countries stepping back, starting with one right on the U.S. border. Number 1, Canada. In 2025, travel from Canada to the United States has dropped to levels not seen since the pandemic, a mix of rising border tensions, political friction, and changing public sentiment. Tariffs, diplomatic slights, and controversial rhetoric, like calls for Canada to become America's 51st state, haven't gone unnoticed. In March alone, nearly 900,000 fewer Canadians crossed the border compared to the same month last year. That's not a small dip. It's a signal. Canada's government has even updated travel advisories, warning citizens about the risk of invasive searches at U.S. borders, including phone and laptop checks. Meanwhile, flights are being cut. Airline bookings are down 70%, and duty-free sales at land borders have nearly collapsed. Canadians aren't just delaying trips. They're rethinking the entire relationship. And for a country once viewed as America's most reliable neighbor, that shift should be a serious wake-up call. Number 2, France. For decades, France saw America as a cultural icon. The movies, the music, the spirit of adventure. But in 2025, that admiration has started to fade, replaced by hesitation, even frustration. Bookings from French tour companies to the U.S. are down by 20%. One of France's top luxury travel CEOs said he's never seen such a steep decline for any country. It's not just one thing, it's the buildup. Tighter border controls, political disagreements, public incidents. When a French space researcher was denied entry over unauthorized data, and some say political views, it made national headlines. French media, academics, and influencers began speaking out. The message: travel to America now comes with baggage and risk. Online travel forums in France are filling up with stories of canceled plans and redirected itineraries to countries that feel safer, less politicized, and more welcoming. And when France, a longtime admirer of American ideals, starts to step back, it's not just a travel trend. It's a shift in how the world sees the U.S. Number 3, Germany. Germany has long been one of America's closest allies in trade, diplomacy, and yes, travel. But 2025 is different. Arrivals from Germany to the U.S. have dropped by nearly 30%, the sharpest decline among major European nations. And it's not just about the economy. The German Foreign Office quietly updated its travel guidance, warning citizens they could face detainment, phone searches, or denial of entry, even with valid visas. That warning came after several well-publicized incidents where German travelers were turned away at U.S. borders with no explanation. The response back home? Skepticism, concern, disappointment. German newspapers are openly asking whether the U.S. is still a safe, trustworthy destination. Meanwhile, travel agencies are rerouting customers toward Asia, toward Southern Europe, anywhere but the U.S. What was once a natural trip for many Germans is now a question mark. And if Germany, a pillar of transatlantic partnership, is stepping back, it signals something deeper: the erosion of comfort, the erosion of trust. Number 4, United Kingdom. The UK has long been one of America's closest allies. politically, culturally, and economically. But in 2025, that bond is quietly fraying. British Airlines are cutting transatlantic routes. Bookings are down. And it's not just about price. It's about trust. One case made headlines. A British tourist detained for 19 days in the U.S. over a visa issue. Handcuffed, leg irons, full restraints. Parliament was outraged, and online forums lit up with warnings. Double-check your visa. Anything can go wrong. The UK's Foreign Office didn't stay silent. Travel advisories were updated, cautioning travelers about heightened security and unpredictable enforcement. And sentiment shifted fast. British travelers, once eager to explore the U.S., are now choosing alternatives. Spain, Japan, even domestic holidays. The special relationship, still there, officially. But on the ground, more Brits are asking, is it really worth the risk? Number 5. Spain. Spain has always had a soft spot for the American dream. New York's skyline, California's coastlines, Route 66. But in 2025, Spanish interest in the U.S. is cooling fast. According to Spain's leading tour operators, 4 in 10 are reporting a drop in bookings to the United States. The data backs it up. Air arrivals to the U.S. fell by nearly 25% in March compared to last year. That's almost 20,000 fewer travelers in 1 month. Why the shift? It's not about money. It's about comfort, or lack of it. Spanish travelers are citing longer airport screenings, increased anxiety over visa rejections, and growing frustration with America's political climate. Tourists are picking Canada, Egypt, and Latin America instead. And that's telling. They're not giving up on travel, just avoiding the U.S. This isn't a price problem. It's a perception problem. And if Spain, known for its love of culture and long-haul exploration, is stepping back, America's image abroad may need more than a rebrand. 6. Australia. Australians have long loved the U.S. Hollywood, Hawaii, the open highways. It all felt familiar and exciting. But in 2025, that bond is starting to fray. According to U.S. travel data, Australian visits dropped 7% this spring, the steepest monthly decline since the pandemic. And that's just the beginning. Behind the scenes, travelers are quietly frustrated. There are more stories of Australians being denied entry, pulled aside for extra screening, even having their phones searched without warning. Australia's own government has taken notice. Its Smart Traveler advisory now warns that entry to the U.S. is never guaranteed, even with a valid visa. The uncertainty is turning people off. Travel agencies are rerouting customers to Southeast Asia and Europe. Flight Centre, one of Australia's biggest agencies, is bracing for a $100 million hit, tied directly to Americans losing their travel appeal. This isn't about anti-American sentiment. It's about effort versus reward. And right now, the U.S. feels like too much effort. For a country that once saw America as a top-tier trip, Australia's quiet exit should be loud enough to get noticed. 7. Denmark. Denmark may be small, but in 2025, its message is impossible to ignore. Air travel from Denmark to the U.S. dropped over 34% this spring. Not because of flight costs, not because of weather, but because of principle. A grassroots boycott is gaining traction across the country. Tens of thousands of Danes are refusing to travel to the U.S. Many are also avoiding American brands altogether. One woman in Copenhagen even went viral for boycotting chocolate after finding out the almonds were from California. To her, it wasn't just about almonds, it was about values. Tensions rose after U.S. politicians criticized Denmark's role in Greenland, a sensitive issue tied closely to Danish identity. That sparked real frustration, and it translated into action. Supermarkets are now labeling European products with no U.S. content stickers. Online groups are sharing alternative vacation ideas, and U.S. businesses are quietly noticing the shift. For Denmark, this isn't a loud protest. It's a quiet freeze. And in 2025, silence speaks volumes. 8. Mexico. In 2025, something unusual is happening at the U.S.-Mexico border. It's not about people coming in, it's about people staying away. Mexican travel to the United States has dropped sharply. According to regional airlines, bookings to major U.S. cities like Los Angeles and Houston are down by over 30%. Tour agencies in Mexico City are shifting focus to Europe and South America. Many Mexicans say it's not just politics, it's how they're treated. Increased secondary screenings at U.S. airports. More Mexicans turned away at the border, even with valid visas, and growing fears over arbitrary detentions. One traveler described being held for 6 hours with no explanation, then denied entry after a routine family visit. Another was told their student visa lacked sufficient ties, despite enrolling in a full semester at a U.S. university. Online, hashtags like #No es bienvenida are trending. The message is clear. If traveling to America feels risky, it's easier to just stay away. For a country that once sent millions of tourists north each year, this retreat is no small shift. It's a quiet but powerful response from a neighbor that knows America well and is now choosing distance. And while countries like Mexico have made headlines with stricter policies, they're not alone. Across the globe, quieter shifts are unfolding, less dramatic but just as telling. From Asia to South America, more nations are starting to reconsider what it means to welcome American travelers. Here are a few more places where the red carpet is slowly being rolled back. Italy. Italian travel to the U.S. is seeing a slow but steady decline. Tour operators blame rising anti-European sentiment and confusing ESTA rejections. Social media chatter reveals growing frustration, especially after several Italians were detained for minor visa issues. Many are now choosing Greece, Japan, or Morocco over a trip across the Atlantic. Japan. Once a strong tourism partner, Japan has seen a cultural shift. Concerns over rising hate crimes, unstable domestic politics, and gun violence have made the U.S. seem less appealing. One major travel agency reported a 22% drop in group bookings to America compared to 2023. Travelers cite safety and peace of mind as key reasons for staying closer to home. Brazil. Brazilian influencers are leading an informal push to skip U.S. destinations. High visa denial rates and a lack of Portuguese language support at borders are creating friction. Many Brazilians now view U.S. travel as complicated and unwelcoming. Meanwhile, destinations like Portugal and Argentina are seeing a boost in Brazilian traffic. South Korea. South Korea's younger travelers are turning away from the U.S. in favor of friendlier, visa-free countries. With new border security policies in place, even short-term tourists feel uncertain. K-pop tour agencies now rank the U.S. as a Tier 2 market, a major downgrade from its longtime must-see status. Visa delays and increased screening are eroding trust fast. So what do all these changes really mean? It's not just about fewer flights or canceled trips. It's a shift in how the world sees the U.S., less as a default destination and more as a question mark. For decades, the American passport opened doors. But in 2025, those doors now come with conditions, caution, and in some cases, closed signs. This isn't panic, it's a pattern. A growing number of countries are sending a quiet message. We're watching, and we're changing how we engage. The real question is, will America listen? If you found this video eye-opening, give it a like and subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. Because this global shift, it's just getting started.